Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to December's first episode of Photoshop Party. And today, I've got no idea for sure what it is Michael Lee wanted for this, but he's not even here to tell me, so just kind of make it up and go as we go. So anyway,
he might be snowed in right now.
yeah, that makes a whole lot of us that might be snowed in.
Internet still works in the snow.
For some people. Okay, so let's get into the most important thing. And you can see my screen right now, my Photoshop screen.
Yep.
And as usual, I'm going to talk about June 4th through the 9th, 2023. And the only class I'm going to mention this time is Photoshop 0 to 60 in a week. So if you want to learn Photoshop from nuts and bolts all the way up to the washers and dryers and all that good stuff, take the class Photoshop 0 to 60 in a week, June 4th through the 9th at the University of San Diego, sponsored by West Coast School. We're going to have fun. We always do. So it's a great time was had by all every year, except for
I think we've got over 60 people enrolled already.
That's a good start, but
yep,
I need 4 more people in my class to make it a go. Right now I got 4. I need 8 to make it a go. So if you're thinking about it, sign up today. So with that being said, we'll close that out. We'll open up a new document and we'll make it white. And just to let you know, the fastest way to open up a new document is hit Command or Control N, which sometimes I'll say Command or Control New, which is in, and it opens up a new document for you. And Mike Lee was talking about not being able to find special fonts and stuff. And the fastest way, if you know what your font is that you like, is put it in your favorites. You can go to your favorites over here and pick up the ones you want. If you do that, you have to pick your favorite first before you start typing. So if I wanted this particular font, and just hit enter, you can see that it's all set up for Bebas Neue Pro. Okay, whatever that is. But that's one of my favorites in there. So we'll hit Command Z to undo. And I've got a few others in there. Impact Regular Red. So every time you hit that one, it automatically comes up red. You can set your color, you can do all that good stuff. If that's not what you want to do, you can go to your fonts at the top. And it was brought up last week talking about Wingding fonts. So you got Wingdings 1, 2, and 3. And so we're going to open it up, go to Wingdings, and you can see it automatically populates for you. You can turn that off in your preferences. I like it because it tells me what's going on, the sizing, etc. So if I wanted to, I can change the size to say 30 from 16 to make it bigger, or you can make it smaller. It doesn't matter. But it's great to have a font show up. It's called Lorem Ipsum. That fills in the area that you have. So if you make the area smaller, it fills in for you. If you make it wider, it spreads it out for you automatically and does everything. You don't have to do anything with this. All you have to do now is just start typing. So start typing. And of course, I can't type for darn. God, I guess my keyboard's, my Wacom tablet's in the way of my keyboard, so I'm reaching across it. And you just start typing with what you want. If you want to change colors, You can see right now I don't have anything selected, but I have my type tool selected on the right-hand side in the layers, and or my type layer, and then my type tool is also selected. So let's go to make it bigger. So we'll go to 24 font, 24 point font, change it to bold, change it to Christmas Wish. So it's a nice, pretty font. We can make it green. You don't have, in the old days, you had to select the type and like select the word and start changing things. So we'll do that real quick. Click OK. Before you had to go in and change everything, which you don't have to do anymore. One of the things to remember when you're typing, let me clear this out real quick. And I'm going to go to another font called Varsity. And one of the things I found out yesterday when I was working with it, okay, here's my Varsity. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger because you just got to be able to see it to understand it. VAR, yeah, Varsity. I spelled it right. If you go into your character panel, which is either on the side on the menu over here if you have it set up that way, or go to Window Character, there's a big T about 2/3 of the way down. If you click on that, it will make it a bold, a fake bold is what it is. But when you do that, you'll see that the fake bold took away the outside edge of the Varsity there, and it screwed everything up. It took me 15 minutes yesterday to figure out why my font wasn't working. I had to go to my character panel over here and say, oh, that's the problem. So I fixed it, but it took me 15 minutes, which it shouldn't have, because I had used the fake bold before, a faux bold as they call it. And when my computer crashed, it was stuck in faux bold. So every time I type something, it's like, oh man, come on. And it wouldn't work. So just to let you know about that. Some of the other things, you can change different things on there from the character panel. Like if I want to make my font bigger, I can go right here, which does the size, set font size. If I want to add more, there's regular Varsity, not capitalized. But if I wanted to change the settings for how far it, why are you going back to auto? Help me here. There we go. For the spacing between the lines, it's called setting the lead or leading, L-E-A-D-I-N-G. Most of the time, Photoshop has it set to auto. Click it on auto, and it goes with the size of the font. So if I change my font down to 15, you can barely see it. You can see that it's 15 points between. It's set to auto. If I set it to, say, 16, it just does a little bit different. If I set it to 72, you can see that it would, if it was a 72 point font, you would have this much room between, so it would fit. Does that make a lot of sense? Hopefully. Okay. So fonts are fairly fun to work with if you have a lot of good fonts that you like. If I had a font that I was looking for and it's not in this mile-long list, and you see it changing as I'm going through looking for a font, and there's some weird ones here, which I don't know how to get rid of them. I wish I did, because there's like 50 of them in there to get down to the bottom stuff. But let's say you can't find a font that you like. What you can do, let me stop sharing for 1 second. Share again. Okay, I'm in screen share mode. So let me go to, can you see my internet now?
Yes.
Good, thank
Yep.
you. You go to dafont.com, DAFONT.com. And there are a myriad of free fonts out there for you to play with. And for a Mac, it's really easy. All you do is you click on download. So I pick this one, go to my download button, double click on it, and then double click on the font, which is Stay Strong OTF. And it brings up this little dialog on the left-hand side here, install font. Boom, done. It's now inside my font panel for all my programs, not just Photoshop, but for Word or whatever font you use. So we'll go up here, go to Stay Strong. That's my new font. And there it is. So just that easy. That's pretty cool. Dafont, I have not heard anybody complaining about getting any viruses out of it. Some of the font websites, you got to be careful that you might get a virus. So run it through your virus protection if you're a PC. Any questions on that? Going once, going twice. Another thing that Mike might have been asking about earlier is using the custom shape tool. And with the custom shapes, you've got all kinds of shapes up there. And when Photoshop did their update in like 2020, I believe it was, the legacy shapes disappeared. So all you have to do is go to the flyout wheel right there, append default shapes or import shapes, and then you can just go to your legacy shapes. They should be in there, which they're not even showing there. That's interesting. Let's try append shapes. Append with the list of shape presets. I would say yes, but I've done it so many times, I've got too many in there already. But the default shapes just didn't show up before legacy. And if you go to legacy shapes, it's some of the old stuff from 2019. And then you got the all legacy shapes, which is animals, arrows, film. Let's go to film for one, pick that. And you can make your own shape out of that. We'll fill it with black instead of orange. And now you have a shape. So you can drop your picture in there and do all kinds of cool stuff. So the legacy stuff disappeared, and all you have to do is ask it to get the legacy default shapes back, and it will bring back everything. One time I was looking for a heart. I couldn't find it because it wasn't in the legacies weren't in there, and I had to go reload it. So if that's what he was looking for, great. If not, then he can show us next week what he wanted. So anyway, enough of that one.
I have a question about shapes since you're there.
I'm gone. We're over it.
Well, I'm not.
Okay, go ahead.
You have a custom shape. How do you get it so you can actually do something with it? Edit it, change it, erase part of it, color it, whatever.
Okay, so let's do a custom shape. Let's do a registered trademark. How's that?
Oh, sure. That's a good one.
There you go.
There you go.
If you want to change it, you can double click on here to change the color, or you can bring up your properties here and we can make it green. We can make it blue. You can change the size or anything else you want to do with it.
Okay, what about erasing part of it? Like you want just the, you want to turn it into a P instead of an R. I mean.
Okay. let's do that. So what I'm going to do is right click on the little blue box on the layers panel and convert to frame. Nope, I don't want that. Never mind. Let's do the drop down. Convert to smart object, which no big deal, and then convert to layer. So it should be a layer now, which it's not doing. And I don't know why it's not making a layer out of it. Let's do a flatten image. So it's now on its own deal. So what we can do is Command or Control click. That's not going to work either. Okay.
Well, before you can do anything with that layer, you have to turn it into, there you go, into a layer and not a lock back.
Yeah. So I'll command click and it should, what it's supposed to do is select that, and it's not selecting it. Fine, we'll do this. I'm going to take the background layer and I'm going to fill it with white. And I'm going to come up and zoom in on my R. Get my brush, get my Wacom tablet back in place again. Make my brush a little smaller. And let's go ahead and go to that layer. I can either use eraser or I'm going to use a mask. Why that black is showing up there, I don't know. Interesting. It's on the bottom layer. That's why it's showing up.
So you did it with a mask. Okay.
I did it with a
That's
mask.
the only way I could figure out to do it too.
Or you could use the dreaded eraser tool.
No, the eraser tool didn't work for me.
It didn't work.
Mm-mm.
Interesting. It's not
Only
working
the
for me.
mask. The only way I could figure out to do it was with a mask, but I didn't, everything I needed to do wasn't necessarily erasing things. I mean, I was trying to do a variety of things and
Yeah.
I could only figure out, do it with a mask, but I was wondering if there was some other way.
The eraser tool is working right now for me on that, on the second
it
layer
did?
there. Yeah. So
Okay.
you can do that. So,
Okay, thank you.
any other questions?
Yeah, Michael, this is John.
Hi, John.
You're still on the there in the custom shape. I just, you might have said it and missed it. I went to my custom shape and I opened it up and it's got bear and leaf and tree, the boring stuff. How do you get more things, more different shapes in there?
The fastest way is go to the settings wheel that's up on where it says shape on the top line.
Right.
Go to the settings wheel and append default shapes or import shapes.
Uh-huh.
And here I've got wild animals and all that. I've got everything already preloaded. So if I hit append default shapes, it says, do you want to append the list?
Uh-huh.
Yes. Okay, we'll do it. So it's going to add another list of shapes again. So it just added shapes from my Mac from before, and it
Yeah.
added all those guys again. You want to make sure that you get your legacy shapes back.
And that's what I was trying to do.
And I hit import legacy shapes or import shapes, and they're not showing up in there for some reason, and I don't know why.
And that's what I was having a problem with, because I went to that and it was blank and I'm going, ah.
Yeah, that's not normal. There should be something there, and there's nothing showing up.
Right.
I've got patterns, I've got everything but shapes. Styles. In fact, yeah, my shapes aren't even showing up in there.
Right. That's what I was wondering, because
I think there might be a glitch in 2023. I'll do some research on that, see if I can come up with an answer.
All right, thanks.
But I
thought
don't,
it was me.
no, it's not you, it's Photoshop. Yeah, you want to have your legacy shapes is where you get all your good stuff. I mean, you got your animals. There we go, kitty cat. And it shows up with the stroke. I have a stroke on there, so I turn off the stroke. Now he's gone. And then I've got my path going on. So if I go to filter, nope, it's not going to do it. Okay. Make it a path. And we'll go to filter, render, flame. Nope. Okay. That's not going to play. So don't save. Any other questions on the shape tool?
Thank you.
Going once, going twice.
Michael, one quick question.
Okay.
What is the shortcut for the copyright symbol again?
Get into a new one, go there and go into shapes. And it's under legacy default shapes. Up at the top. There's really no shortcut for it. So you can just go up there and click on the shape for that. And then drag it out where you want it, how you want it. You can stretch it or do all kinds of weird stuff. If you hold it as the shift key, it will constrain itself and do that. Right now, there's no fill set. So let's go ahead and change from path to back to shape. And it filled with white. So let's go with black. Uh-oh. Okay, let's try that again. We'll go shape. We'll set the color. Let's do red. We have a copyright symbol and it should fill with red.
Okay.
And just hit the enter key and it locks it in.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Hey, Michael,
yes.
I think if you're typing text and you do an Option G, you'll get a copyright symbol.
Yes,
Okay,
that is the case.
just typing in.
But you can't type white on white.
Yeah, I see that. And which one was it? Option G?
Yes,
Yes, option G.
There you go. Hey, all right.
Yeah.
And option R is a registered trademark. So I knew there was a shortcut. I just don't remember, you know, if you don't use it, you don't remember it. I don't use it. But thank you, Dan. You guys know as much about this stuff as I know, so. Any other
But-
questions?
But it's
Yes,
like anything else, we all use these things, but if you haven't used it for a week or two, it slips your mind.
exactly.
What did they see before that CRS slips in and then we have to be refreshed?
Well, when CRS kicks in, you just MSU. Make stuff up. Actually,
Or
so
RTFM.
we can't go there.
Oh, it's freaking manual.
Okay. Any other questions on text or shapes? Any of that good stuff? Good questions out there, by the way. Making me work hard. Okay. I had a request to extract this person. And it is definitely going to be a challenge. So my suggestion would be go to the object selection tool, which is in the left-hand side, or hit W. And then you can see up here on the top bar, that little circle arrows spinning around there. It means just thinking. You can use the lasso tool and just lasso around this nice lady and make it go faster. Or not, there it is. And we'll see how good it did. So from here, I'm going to go to select and mask, which will bring her up. And there's a couple of ways to deal with this, depending on if you're going to put her on a light colored background. I would recommend going to white on the right hand side where it says view, go to white. If you're going to do a dark background, I would go to black. If you have your layer that you're going to put her on already set up, you can go to on layers, which will show you what she's going to look like on the layer. So you can keyboard shortcut all of these or go up there. I can't remember the keyboard shortcuts. So for that one, I just go ahead and go, okay, whatever. My default setting for this is the Refine Edge brush tool. And then I'll zoom in on her head and start at the very top. You'll notice when I did that, I held the zoom key down, Z for zoom, and then I did my zoom, I let go, and it went back to the brush tool. So if you just do that quickly, it's going to stay in the brush tool. And then what I'll do, get a smaller brush and just kind of drag around the outside edges, trying to get what's needed. And I'm going to change the view again to black so I can see where we're going. And it doesn't look like, oh, it's doing a little bit up there. Not perfect. But it also depends on a lot of things, such as what you're going to put it on, is how perfect you need it.
Looks like it's taking away stuff.
It's taking away stuff, but it's also leaving stuff on there that I want. There's some gray up there, which is from the background. Like along her hair on the right-hand side, there's that gray there. So I'll just drag along the edge.
See, it removes the hair too.
It does some of the hair, but it's also leaving some of the hair there.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Whoever designed that headpiece has never done Photoshop.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is correct.
And you can also use the refine hair mode up here and tell it to look, and it starts picking up some really good edges up there. So it's not too bad. This doesn't look perfect, but we'll see when we get done. And then I like to go along the edge. What's that, Kevin?
I was gonna say that headpiece was what was the problem that I had, is that I lost a lot of the fine detail in that.
Yeah, you can see there's some detail in there.
Yeah. Which, how I used it was okay. I mean, the client never noticed it. There
Yeah,
was enough of it to be okay, but it was like, I wish it did a little better job than that.
no doubt. When I do the refine edge, you'll see that my brush is half on and half off. So it's going down the side over here and saying, oh, I see what you want to refine there. And so I just go down the edges, half on, half off. And that's killer right there. Ah, it didn't do too bad.
Yeah.
And just do a little bit at a time. If you try to do a whole bunch, Photoshop starts thinking and overthinking. And I'm just doing the edges nice and slow. And I could do the whole thing, but I'm not gonna, because it would take up the whole time we have.
Yeah.
A question.
Yes,
So I see a plus sign and a minus sign. When should I use plus? When should I use a minus?
when I'm doing this, I don't worry about the plus or the minus. If I'm using a regular brush, the brush tool up here, if I wanted to bring some of it back on the outside, I would hold the minus down and then paint. And it's taking away inside. Let me see if I can find
Mike,
an
if you go
edge.
back up to the, if you go up to the arm that you just did, I think it, when you did the recheck, it left a couple little openings. See along like the upper part of her arm, there's a little highlight there that it created.
Right here.
Yep.
That
If you
was
do
there
that brush, you were just,
before I did
Uh,
it. Okay, let's go to B for brush. We'll paint it back in. Undo. I don't know what that's doing.
yeah, oh, maybe it was there. Okay.
I think it was there.
Okay.
And then when I go down I don't play with the feather. You can do a little bit of contrast if you want, which will bump up what it's looking at. Refine edge brush again, we'll go on the outside. I saw a little bit of haloing going on. Do contrast, shift edges. If you got a little bit too much on the outside, just hit shift edge, go down to the minus. It'll shrink everything in a little bit. You can also click on decontaminate colors. 50% normally works really well. And then when you output, my favorite is new layer with layer mask. The reason I do that is, I'll show you right now. It brings up the layer mask. So there's like, oh, look right here. It didn't do a great job there. So I'll go for B for brush, paint in with white, and paint in the area that I need. There's areas where it just didn't quite do a good job, and I'll have to go in and repaint it. Along here, I would go to taking it out very carefully, not zipping it like I am right now. That's what we ended up with the mask from just that quickness that we did up there. You probably want to spend a little bit more time working on her. Let's do.
You know,
Uh,
Michael, don't you
I-
think that maybe this might be a time to use in Camera Raw or Lightroom, the new select object or even inverted select background, and you might get this a lot faster and a lot closer?
Well, let's try that.
Yeah.
Let's make a new layer. Command J to make a new layer.
Hmm.
And let's go to Command Shift A or Control Shift A, which brings up Camera Raw. This, I didn't have the raw photo right now. I just have a JPEG. But what we could do is go to select subject, create a new mask, select subject. And does a pretty good job, except for up here. It didn't do a great job up there.
Okay. Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
So usually in movie making, people use a green background. Is better for the model, to stand in front of something green?
You're talking about using a green screen?
As a green screen.
Yeah, we played with the green screen about a month ago and found that the gray actually works better than green screen. So you don't get the color cast from the green that you normally do, because then you got to play with the getting rid of the color cast.
Yeah, and the green becomes a real problem in like that fine feather detail in that headpiece when you're on green, because it contaminates really bad.
Yeah, you can see that that's not easy to deal with up there.
Yeah, it's gotten some of it, but not all of it.
Yeah. You can see if I drop the exposure all the way down, you can see that it did nothing to the feather on top. It did a little bit, but not. It's just not picking it up at all. And you can go in and add, like if I wanted to brush in that area, I don't think it did very much of anything, but yeah, it's not selecting the object itself. So
So
Probably-
so Michael, once you get to when you're in this area of masking within Camera Raw or Lightroom, there's no refined brush to like fix the hair here.
not that
That's
I'm aware
only
of.
in, okay,
Yeah.
because that's what would be really nice here. Maybe the
And
next version.
I didn't get that.
Stop. Siri's trying to answer the question.
She's always trying to
She's-
interfere.
She is listening into my life way too much these days.
I've turned my Siri off. She's not supposed to listen.
That's just
Okay,
what you know of
You can see
anyway.
on the wrist there, that is in the original.
Yeah, maybe she has a spot there. Yeah.
But I always go back to select and mask is my favorite go-to. If you use select subject, let's go to select subject. I'll do it different. There we go. In the magic wand, you have the drop down there for device, which lets the device do it, or go to cloud. I use cloud because you get much more detailed results when you do your select subject, but it does take longer.
Have you found a way? Have you set that to be defaulted to your cloud
Yes.
option?
It already
How?
is default.
How?
Give me 1 second. Let me
Okay.
let it do its thing. But you can see it still didn't get the selection up there on top. So that's one you're just going to have to work with and struggle with. Okay, let's go to our preferences, and I'm going to have to look to see where it is again because I did it, but I don't remember where it is. Like I said, if you don't do this all the time,
Yeah, I glanced at it and I couldn't find it, but I probably missed it.
that I'm going through really fast, so I may be missing it too. But it's in there. I will get that to you.
Their
Under-
image processing.
Image processing. So preferences to image processing, and you have your choice of device or cloud. I pick cloud as my default so that it takes
Okay.
longer, but it gets a better result.
Yep.
And
Okay.
I've played with it a couple times in a couple different images, and the result
What-
is definitely better.
What's the second selection process faster versus what's the other option? Oh, more stable. Okay.
More stable. If you're experiencing instability, choose more stable. Oh, that makes
guess,
sense.
yeah.
Your results
Yeah,
will be
okay.
slower. You'll need to restart to see the changes. So
Okay.
there you go.
Okay, cool. I will go do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next
not
question. Tell Siri to shut up.
I keep trying to. She keeps listening.
Yeah, that would be a challenge because some of these fine hairs, well, you can use quick mask and get a very small brush and just paint in. Make sure you're at 100% with a small brush and just paint in. I'm doing this with the mouse, not my Wacom. Use your Wacom tablet because it's more effective. Paint in the hair that you want to keep. Q for quick mask, and you see that the hair is selected now. So you could,
Yeah.
if it's very important, go in hair by hair and do that.
Yeah.
And it would take forever, but you tried Topaz?
I tried Topaz, an old copy of that, and it actually did a pretty decent job, except it had a lot of that. If you remember the old days when we did masking like this, you used to get that kind of grayish edging around everything.
Uh-huh.
And it had a fair amount of that you'd have to go back and I did not see when I did it, but you'd have to go back and clean up.
Okay.
So technically Photoshop was a cleaner selection. It just took more work to get that, to try to get some of that detail back.
Yep.
But
That
thank
may
you.
be beyond my.
You did it. I'm gonna take her off. I'm tired of listening to her. Yeah, I mean, you did it basically the same way I did.
Okay.
So I appreciate
then-
that. Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions out there? Going once, going twice. Okay, I'm going to turn off the recording now.